Hi, people. Hope you all are keeping safe and still giving your best in the fight against COVID 19. People, today I'm going to present before you a new initiative of mine in which I'm working on designing a solution to help discover novel strategies to defeat COVID 19 through something known as knowledge graphs. Let me start with the introduction. As we all know, the COVID 19 situation in India is very, very serious. The total number of cases in the country is close to 15.5 lakh now. And out of these cases, around 5 lakh cases are still active. What is even more unfortunate is the fact that in the last 5 to 6 months, more than 33,000 people have died from COVID 19. And equally serious is that India is now reporting about 50,000 new cases every day for the last few days. If this trend were to continue, in some another 10 days, we would have an addition of 5 lakh more cases, and that would take the total number of cases beyond 20 lakh. So COVID-19, as everybody says, is the most serious situation, is the most serious crisis our civilization or even the world has ever faced. There is an urgent need to find a permanent cure, a permanent solution for COVID-19. And that permanent solution could be a vaccine, it could be a drug. A vaccine or a drug which applies to all groups of people. So far, whichever recoveries have happened from COVID-19, you know that there is no standard way of recovery. Different treatments have worked for different groups of people, and that is the real concern. So long we do not have a vaccine which is uniformly effective, we can't say that the chapter is closed. Fortunately, many vaccines are in trial phase. Many drugs are being tested intensively for their efficacy against COVID-19. And we recently heard some good news about the Oxford vaccine and even the Indian vaccine, Covaxin, showing some very encouraging results in their respective trial phases. But even if these vaccines were found to be effective, were to succeed in the final trial phase, it would still be a long time before they are mass produced for the entire population. And you also don't know whether the virus mutates in this time frame. So those vaccines or drugs may not ultimately prove out to be effective. It is in this context that I say that we need to keep preparing for the worst while still hoping for the best. If our previous experience is anything to go by, we will realize that our expectations have been constantly belied. When COVID-19 first started spreading in India, so in China, that was in January 2019 to December 2020, most people thought it would remain confined to China only, or maybe to some nearby countries in Asia, in East Asia. But as we find now, as we see now, it's spread all over the world, and more than 6 lakh people all over the world have died from COVID-19. When it started spreading in India, that was in February and March, when the cases started increasing in March, the government of India imposed a total lockdown. We couldn't sustain it beyond 2 months. We had to go for unlocking of the country in different phases. And now we stand at 15.5 lakh cases, close to 15.5 lakh cases. When the disease started in winter, people thought that with the onset of summer, the infections would start to decrease, the number of infections would start to decrease. And as the research shows now, this is not the case. And the number of infections has only increased. Given the past, I don't think we can relax that vaccines are showing successful, encouraging results in their trial phases. It would be dishonest to relax at this point of time. Every day, every time, we need to keep giving our best to be able to find solutions to COVID-19. To be able to find solutions to COVID-19, one needs to have extensive knowledge on what this COVID-19 is all about. One needs to have knowledge on the vulnerabilities of the virus which is causing this disease. One needs to be able to come up with strategies whereby we can exploit these vulnerabilities. Now, certainly I or you cannot sit in a rooms and test drugs or vaccines for COVID-19. Researchers, scientists, and institutions are doing that anyway, and I'm sure they're doing their best. However, what we can certainly help is we can help our researchers, our scientists, in being better able to parse through the extensive amount of literature that is available on COVID-19 so that it becomes easier for them, it becomes quicker for them as well to come up with their solutions. This is one of the ways in which we can help our researchers and scientists. Another way is the government of India has launched a drug hackathon 2020, and I shared information on that on Facebook a couple of times. We can participate in that drug hackathon, and that is open to anybody who is a people working in different fields, like even in non medical fields, like in data science and in machine learning and in big data analytics. People from all those fields can still contribute to that. My point is, we can't keep waiting for the vaccines. We have to try best from our side to do whatever possible to find solutions to COVID-19. As I said, one of the ways to find solutions to COVID-19 is to help our scientists and researchers navigate through the extensive amount of research papers that is out there. So ever since the pandemic broke out, I mean, the disease broke out and it turned into a pandemic in March, thousands of researchers all over the world have been doing extensive amount of research on COVID-19, and as of now there are more than 65,000 research papers out there, and most of them are in open access category. And these research papers contain all kinds of information on COVID-19. They contain information on the causative virus, on the disease itself, on genes, chemicals, molecules, drugs, pathways, on the proposed treatments, on vaccine trials, on impact of different environmental factors on spread of COVID-19, etc., etc. I mean, if you go to say the WHO research website, website for coronavirus articles, if you go to the respective page, you will find plenty of information there. And each research paper presents new insights. So there is extensive amount of information that is a treasure for us. However, that research by itself is of limited use if our scientists, other researchers are not able to make use of it, if they are not able to connect the insights that are present in different research papers. It may well be that the results published in one research paper are kind of disproved by some other results published in some other research paper. Or it may be that only when you connect two research papers, that you actually get meaningful insights. So what do I mean by connecting the research papers, connecting these diverse set of articles? Suppose there is a disease A, which is known to be caused by chemical B, and there is a research paper, there is a research article, say article X, which has this information that disease A is caused by chemical B. Suppose there is another research carried in another part of the globe, and that research says that research may have been carried earlier, it may have been carried later. That research says that chemical B is reduced in the body by a drug known as drug C. Now these research papers are disconnected. They may be available online, but or may not be available online. You never know whether they have been published, as in they have been peer reviewed. Now, to be able to actually come to the possible treatment for this disease, one needs to connect these two research papers. One needs to connect these two articles. And when one connects these two articles, one knows that drug C is a possible treatment for disease A. So this is what is known as the ABC method in literature, drug discovery through literature. And when we are able to connect information spread over diverse data sets, be they research papers, be they other kind of data sets having to do with genes, having to do with drugs, with molecules, etc., we are able to consolidate information, link information together, and navigate as per our requirement. So what I showed here is a very simple example where you just have three entities: a disease, a chemical, and a drug. In a real life scenario, of course, for COVID-19, you have literally thousands of entities which need to be considered, different types of entities which need to be considered as to how they could be related. And to be able to do that, one needs to use something known as knowledge graphs. So knowledge graphs are a very powerful feature which enable you to get the relationships between seemingly disconnected entities. So you may have never thought that two entities which look completely different from one another may even be connected unless you got the data and consolidated it as part of your knowledge graph. So what knowledge graphs do for you is, once you get the data, they are a template which help you link that data to show the relationships, the hidden relationships between the connected entities. And those hidden relationships may not be direct relationships. For example, it may be the case that this is a chemical and this is a drug, and this is a direct relationship which is expressed in some research paper. So it's easy to get it, even from the research paper. But it may as well be that you have a node here, which is a chemical, and you have a drug here, which is, say, it may be any drug. I mean, it could be a drug related to COVID-19, and this could be a chemical related to COVID-19, related to the infection. So if you wanted to know what was the relationship between them, whether they were even interconnected, so you would see that yes, there is a relationship, but there is an indirect relationship, and it goes through this way. And there would be several entities in between. Now, all these entities are in between are very useful, and to actually be able to possibly cure the problem. So if this were a disease, to possibly cure a disease using chemical B, or if it is just simply a drug, as I mentioned earlier, to establish the relationship between this chemical and this drug. So my emphasis is on the point that you have some entities which may not be seemingly connected at first instance, but when you actually plot the graph and you see that there are intermediary relationships through which you can possibly navigate and connect these entities, you actually get more insights. What may also happen is there may be entities for which you may never have thought that there could be a relationship, because there could be different kinds of variables. For example, I mean, there is research pointing out that photobiomodulation, that light, wavelengths in visible and infrared range, are actually effective in reducing the lethality of COVID-19. Now, you wouldn't guess that that kind of thing may even exist, and it will be important to have that particular research paper integrated as part of a larger whole, which shows that as part of a larger whole, as part of a larger structure, as part of a knowledge graph, which shows that these are indeed linked together. So to establish relationship between unconnected entities, seemingly unconnected entities, to actually be able to link different entities which we are investigating about, we need something known as knowledge graphs. And knowledge graphs thus help in connecting information spread over diverse sets. They lead to discovery of new relationships between seemingly unconnected entities and processes, and they also help in the development of drugs and vaccines indirectly. Now, you may have a question. Knowledge graphs are a very popular feature. In fact, most of you may already know about knowledge graphs, and it has already been 6 months into COVID-19. Is it possible that 6 months into the COVID-19 crisis, there are no knowledge graphs? And am I serious about it? And I'll answer this question in my next video, in part B of this video series. And suffice is to say here that yes, there are knowledge graphs out there, but they have a good number of limitations, which I'll discuss in my next video in part B of this video series. And after that, I'll also discuss with you as to how those limitations can be done away with. How can we have a better knowledge graph, a universal COVID-19 knowledge graph made? What are the challenges in doing that? How we can fix those challenges, and how all of you can contribute from your end to this initiative. Thanks very much. Looking forward to meeting you in the next video.